Hello and welcome to another painting video. In this video I'll be painting a veteran guardsman from the Kill Team Octarius box set. Or as we all know what it's called, a Deathclaw of Krieg guardsman. Color scheme wise I had a hard time to decide, so I ended up going for something that resembled the official box art. Let's begin, shall we? Instead of just priming with Wraithbone, I wanted to try some zenithal highlighting. First, I used the airbrush to prime the model black with Vallejo Black primer. Then, I held the model at an angle and used Vallejo white primer in my airbrush. Of course, this can all be done with rattle cans as well. First, I want to tackle the largest area of the model, which is his greatcoat. I base coat this coat with Stegadon Skill Green. Then I shade the coat with some Agrax Earthshade. Now I take some Dark Reaper and layer this on the coat to brighten up the color. The color difference is very subtle, but it will work very nicely. It's time for some highlighting. I use Thunderhawk Blue for this. I use the zenithal highlighting I've done in the priming step to see where my highlights need to go. Finally, I apply a thin highlight of Thunderhawk Blue mixed with Fenrisian Grey to the coat. I really like this greenish blue color the coat has now. The zenithal highlighting really helped me to see where to add all the highlights. Let's see about those pants. First I apply Basilicanum Grey to the area of the pants. This shades the already dark parts and will darken the white of the zenithal highlighting. Now I use Mechanicus Standard Grey to brighten up the pants even more. And I end with a highlight of Administratum Grey. Next, I'm painting the gas mask, bootstraps and the blanket on his backpack. First, I apply Karak Stone. The rims of the lenses I paint with Ironbreaker. Then, I paint the lenses with Wild Rider Red. Be careful not to hit the metal rims. Now I apply a shade of Agrax Earthshade over the mask and the lenses. The mask is way too dark now. I use Ushabti Bone to layer the mask with a brighter color. Then I use Screaming Skull to highlight the mask. Finally, I add some Fire Dragon Bright to the lenses. Be sure to use a small brush for this. The gas mask is a small detail, but it's also the focal point of this model. Because it will be brighter than the rest, it will really stand out in the end. Now I'm painting the boots, backpack and barrel stock of the gun. I base coat everything with Mournfang Brown. I then shade it with Agrax Earthshade. The first highlight is Skrag Brown. And the second highlight is Deathclaw Brown. This earthy tone really works well with the green-bluish greatcoat. Although dark grey and black was an option, I think this will work better with how I will paint the armor next. All the metal parts, the helmet and the shoulder pads, I base coat in Ironbreaker. This paint doesn't cover very well, but it gives a different color than the usual lead belcher. All the brass bits I base coat in Balthasar Gold. Especially the skull on the rifle, the Achillea on the helmet, and the little straps on his backpack. I then shade all the painted parts with Agrax Earthshade. Now I will use a watered down Black Templar to paint the helmet and the shoulder pads. I watered it down with Lahmian Medium. This way the metal will still shine through the black, giving a very nice effect. Before I continue painting, I want to add 2 small decals to the shoulder pads. I place a regiment number on his right pad and a skull and wings on the left pad. I use Microsol and Microset for this. With Runefang Steel, I'm highlighting all the metal parts. I apply a rough highlight so it will look like battle damage. With Abaddon Black, I apply some scratches to the decals to make them look more worn. On to the base. As you can see, I already applied some texture paste to the model before painting. I base coat this with Zendri Dust. Then I shade the base with some Agrax Earthshade. Next, I dry brush some Screaming Skull on top of the highlight. Now I use this excellent looking Army Painter barbed wire, which I apply to the base with some PVC glue. After the PVC glue dried, I apply yellow ochre pigment to the base. I also make sure to hit the boots and the bottom of the greatcoat to integrate the model more with the base. Finally, I paint the trim with Steel Legion Drab. And here we have a Dev Korps of Krieg guardsman ready to be deployed in a game of Kill Team. As you might have noticed, I used a lot of Agrax Earthshade in various stages. It might actually be better to first base coat the entire model and then shade it in Agrax Earthshade. For the purpose of this video, I divided everything in parts, but it is not the most efficient way to paint. I hope this was helpful. Also, please check my Instagram page where I post pictures of projects I'm working on and behind the scenes stuff. Thanks for watching!